I didn't really know what to expect going into this because while I've done the open division before, I've never casted the HGC at all. So it's kind of weird that like my first time doing it is going to be an offline event because I feel like the stakes are that much higher. But I expected the gameplay to be a lot faster, and that definitely ended up being true, which makes like keeping an eye out on team fights and keeping an eye on macro decisions is that much more important. But I mean, I just tried to be myself and add what I could to whatever thing I'm involved in, and it's been cool. Two people inspired me as a caster. Babel from Korea, watching him cast BlizzCon and seeing how excited he was about the game really spoke to me. It's like, wow, like this guy's having a ton of fun, and it made me have fun watching the game. So I thought that was really cool. And I didn't really have ambitions of being a caster myself at the time, but it's definitely something that made me appreciate the idea. And interestingly enough, watching Kaldor cast like things like Zodak Cup a couple years ago really opened my eyes to the competitive hero scene and esports in general. Before I started playing Heroes, I didn't really know, like I didn't know there was a whole competitive scene for games to the extent that there is. So just watching his tournaments and stuff made me feel like, you know, like I started playing Heroes doing AI matches. Mm-hmm. So to watch, you know, competitive players play the game entirely different from how a more casual person would was really huge, and I appreciated his insight, and he definitely served as an inspiration for how I approach the game from an analytical perspective. The entire casting lineup has been really welcoming. Going into it, I thought like maybe I could be the odd man out because I'm not doing any other HGC stuff. But I guess I've been in the community long enough now to where like I've casted with Gilly before, I've casted with Trick before. I only have not casted with Tetra and Kaldor at some point, so I think people knew enough. I got to hang out with Kaldor quite a bit over the course of the tournament, and it's been very, very fun to hang around. It's cool. I guess in general, just understanding the mindset behind more competitive play. Just understanding why draft compositions work, what strategies a team is going to go for, so I can kind of try to predict how the game is going to go, so I can be that much more intelligent about the things I'm talking about. Coming from a very casual background from Heroes of the Storm, seeing it in that capacity was very different and a challenge. And it's something that I definitely worked on, particularly after doing Heroes of the Storm last year. I really wanted to improve the analytical side of my casting. I think I'll always kind of speak in a way that's more understandable to the layman, just because that's kind of how I got into the game. That's just what feels natural to me. But being able to understand the game from a super technical standpoint allows me to filter what can be difficult to understand to a larger audience. Well, I can say 100% for sure that esports is just getting started. As people get older, the culture is just shifting more to accept esports. Like, there's a few times every now and again where esports tries to get on like main TV or, you know, things like that. But I don't think esports necessarily needs to do that, because people like in their 20s and in their teens, like they don't really watch like cable TV in the way that previous generations did. So I think the media is just going to naturally shift more towards streaming and more towards gaming. Things like Fortnite really get mainstream. I think it's only logical to think that esports is going to have a huge impact on general culture to the same way that physical sports do. Where I fit into that, I have no idea, man. Like casting, I just started as a hobby. In a lot of ways, I still just see it as a hobby. The principal idea of me just wanting to have fun and make jokes and make myself laugh is the same as when I casted for 6 people in Cherry League to however many people ended up watching the Western Clash. And it's just been a fun ride. Every now and again, someone's like, hey, would you like to cast this? Sure. Would you like to cast this? Sure. Would you like to cast this? Sure. Like, it's just been the same root concept of how I approach casting. It's just been the scale of it has increased, but how I act within it and go about it has been the same. I would love the idea of being able to cast full-time and making this more of a professional career. It's not something that I'm necessarily expecting, because I don't want to be disappointed if that doesn't happen. Like, esports is still a very valuable thing, and while I think I'm talented and while I think I could do it, will the opportunities be available there? Who's to say? So I just enjoy it for what it is. Each moment, each opportunity I get to cast, I just try to do the best I can and be myself. And if the opportunities show up, awesome. That's kind of how I approach it.